So no bits. We're not
No,
doing bits anymore.
thank you. Whoop, whoop.
So because there are no bits, we'll make the intro as boring as possible. So
Wow.
is it
So it's
School of Rock
either or.
or is it The School of Rock? Is the definite article present in the title of this film?
It's not. Right?
School of Rock or The School of Rock?
School of Rock,
Or
not
the
the
or
School
the
of Rock.
School of Rock?
No, it's just the School of Rock.
Hmm? Are you sure?
Is it? I think so, but you're making me question everything.
Hmm.
I'm actually looking it
Hmm.
up. No, it's School of Rock. There is no the School of Rock.
In the film, the title card says The School of Rock.
In the film, what
In the film, when the titles come up, it says The School of Rock.
does it? Oops. I never caught this.
But the title of it is School of Rock, so
School of
there's a,
Rock. Yeah,
Justin
and that's
Timberlake got
cooler.
involved somewhere along the way.
What do you mean? Just
Because of the social network, when he says it was called the Facebook,
the
drop the,
drop the
it's
yeah.
cleaner.
It's cleaner, and I would say like School of Rock is way cooler as a title than the School of Rock.
No, because without the definite article, it could be any school of rock. I want to know that it's referring to this specific school
Mm,
of rock.
no, no,
This is the school
only
of rock. It's not a school of
no,
rock. It's the school of rock.
no. I think it is a School of Rock because there is it's not about the specific school. It's about an attitude and the philosophy of teaching related to music, but superseding that. Which is not confined to that particular school. And not to give spoilers, but it's literally like at the end of the movie, we see shifting value.
Well, I'm really hoping this isn't happening all over the world and in different countries and different states. I'm hoping this was a one-off thing because it went okay here, but it could have gone very, very badly.
Yeah, but if it could have gone exactly like it went in the movie, then I would want every child to experience Mr. S. It's true. Like, can you imagine as a kid having 2 or 3 months or how long it was, where you get like no actual school, but you get to discover who you are, you get to embrace new talents, you actually make friends that are going to last a lifetime. Like it was an amazing experience as a kid. No, no, I would definitely want every kid to experience something similar. But yes, it could have gone very, very badly if it was a different teacher in a different school with different kids.
We kind of did that, when I was in year six. You do the SATs in, I think, like April,
Hmm.
and then we did
Yeah.
like a big summer production, a play that all of the year sixes were involved with. We
Oh, that's
basically
fun.
took 2 months off school and just practiced this play for 2 months.
I think so. We did something very not. It wasn't similar in year six. Same. So we ended the exams and then we were going to school and basically it was arts and crafts and cooking and dancing and music and so it's similar, but at the same time, like we didn't have Mr. S. We had overtired year six teachers who were like, finally school is over. I can not do the work and just give them things to do when that waste their time until summer release is done. But then we had something similar in Form 5 when we do our O levels. I don't know what they're called. Year 16 when you do them.
Yeah, Jesus.
So those are also done earlier. And I remember like there was a whole farewell and for the farewell concert, each class had to create a dance, and that was months. But no teacher was leading us, and we were just a bunch of 15, 16-year-old girls just bitching about trying to create a choreography.
That sounds kind of fun, I'm not gonna lie. Um,
Yeah, the theme was movie soundtrack, so each class had a different song, which was popular because it was a part of a movie. But we got Coyote Ugly, which is this like very niche movie that probably only 15-year-old girls, 15-year-old girls my age, okay, born in 1993. So everyone loved it but no one knows about it. But anyway,
um,
anyway, we're going off tangent.
yeah, it's the media tangent. So when did you first watch School of Rock or The School of Rock, depending on who you ask?
I don't remember the first time. I was a kid for sure, but I can't remember. Probably around the time it came out.
You saw it in the cinema.
No, I don't think I saw it in the cinema, but I remember I was like probably a preteen first time I saw it. So it must have been around the time it came out.
I remember the exact time I first saw it
Wow.
because it was at a sleepover and my friend had a TV in his room, which I wasn't allowed. So we were
Oh.
watching movies late into the night and we'd watch one film. And then he was like, yeah, let's watch another film. And immediately went to sleep. So I was just sat in his bedroom watching School of Rock, quietly trying not to wake him up.
Oh, but you liked it so much that you wanted to finish it, despite the
I
risk of waking your friend up.
I think it was just the novelty of being able to watch a film in my in a bedroom, to be
Bedroom.
honest.
Okay, fair.
But yeah.
That
And
was
then I
in
think
Jack Black.
the next morning he woke up and said, "You know, I was joking when I said we should watch another film, right?" And I was
But
like,
yeah,
"Okay,
yeah,
okay."
yeah. Sarcasm sometimes doesn't. You're very literal, so it's probably like you
Yeah.
should look
Yeah. Just my
like okay,
autistic
well,
ass sitting there saying, "You said we should watch a film, so I am here watching the film like a
yeah,
robot."
something like not a robot, but you probably took it literally. You didn't question it. It's like okay, we're watching another. But I relate. Sleepovers, I always was the last one to sleep, movie or not. So yeah, I would have probably have been like, yes, let's watch the second movie.
Yeah, that's what sleepovers are for. They're for
Yeah, yeah.
breaking the rules.
The name is wrong. Like last thing you should do in a sleepover is sleep. You've wasted it. No, you can't just sleep in a sleepover. You have to minimize the sleeping hours as much as possible. I think I've already told you this once, but like sleeping is a waste of time. And we
That's
need it, but on some occasions we should definitely skip sleeping. And sleepovers are one of those occasions.
that's an absurd take that has nothing to do with School of Rock.
No,
Anyway.
sorry.
Huh? What? Direct to DVD.
So, what was your first viewing experience like when you watched it as a kid for the first time?
I don't know. I think I was young enough that my brain was still malleable, and
Mm-hmm.
it kind of convinced me that, classic rock and roll was the coolest thing in the world and awesome. And I don't think I wanted to grow up to be Jack Black, but I am now working as a substitute teacher, so I kind of did grow up to be his character. But I just thought rock was really cool, and I hated the man. Yeah,
Yeah, there was a part of me that was like the same. So I still love rock music, but I think it was one of those first introductions to rock music, which is like pretty easy for a newbie. And yeah, I since I was a kid, I was always anti-establishment without knowing that I was anti-establishment. So like stick it to the man made so much sense to my 11 or 12-year-old brain.
it did. Yeah, like you don't even know who you're rebelling
Yeah,
against, but you're like,
yeah, but
yeah,
yes.
I
I
hate,
already feel like
I hate 9 to 5. I hate the grind.
I hate my
Fuck
parents telling me that I
capitalism.
need to study. All of that, like, yes, I relate so much.
And
Yeah.
this is a fairly common criticism of the film. And then you grow up and realize that Sarah
Yeah.
Silverman's character is kind of doing all the right things, and she's very funny. She's a
Mm,
very funny
she,
comedian,
yeah,
but
she is.
in this film she just plays the like party
Naggy, yeah,
pooper, like just
yeah,
the
yeah.
annoying woman character who comes in
Uh-huh,
and takes away everyone's fun,
yeah.
which is
The girlfriend that nags all the time wants you to fit into a particular mold. But realistically, I get what you mean that she does sort of play a two-dimensional character. And realistically, I understand also the current talk about the fact that she was being an adult and expecting adult things to happen around her from the people around her. But she was annoying. How she asked for things and how she set those expectations was in a very annoying way. People are in black and white. You can still have bands, rock out, and then show up on Monday, go to work, and pay your bills. Like it's not V or Y. You can live and have a balance of both.
But
And I
Dewey's
think she was
not. That's kind of the whole point, is
no,
that if
no,
it was just a hobby and it wasn't his whole life, then it would be fine. But she's
yeah,
like, you don't do anything except chase after this idea that you're going to be in a famous rock band, which is never going to happen. So,
no.
you know,
Yeah, and that's true. But I think we see what's his name? Actual Mr. Schneebly,
Mike White,
right?
the writer
Mike,
of the film.
the actor, yeah, yeah. No, I knew the actor and the writer, but I forgot the actual name, although it's appropriate for most of the movie. So he's the one who's in the middle ground, right? And then you see the extreme of Dewey, who is this man child, not yet grown up, at least in the beginning of the movie. And then this like nagging girlfriend. And she nagged even to Mr. Schneebly, right? So she didn't just nag Dewey, she was also annoying to her boyfriend, who was being a responsible adult most of the time. She's not an easy character to like, but she is a bit two-dimensional.
Yeah, I
But I
didn't.
think,
Uh,
mm,
Go on, sorry.
no, no, you go on.
I was just gonna say some bullshit, but
Yeah, me too. That's the whole point.
okay. Um, I was gonna say I didn't love the trope that you see a lot in these kind of formulaic Hollywood films of like men who haven't really grown up and they're presented as the hero of the film. Like you can't just be a man child your whole life. You have to put away childish things at some point. And this whole idea of like a Disney adult and like wonderment and joy.
I think like your cynicism is coming out here. It's like you
Hmm?
can't be funny and have charm. You have to.
No, you do.
I think realistically, I would agree with you, except for the fact that the whole movie is about him growing up and maturing and knowing who he is and still being that person, that childlike fun and wonder and also anti-establishment rocket, but becoming an adult and becoming into like mature person who's responsible, who takes accountability for his actions. So I think in the beginning, although he is the main character, we do see his flaws, and although he is lovable, we immediately see where he's making mistakes, and then we see him progress. So that is maybe where this movie takes that trope and works on it, sort of. It's basic. I felt it. Oh, like I've always seen School of Rock as a coming of age story with no teenagers in sight. It's like the self-growth journey of children and adults.
I
And
think the film definitely wants us
Dewey,
to think that he's changed and he's the master of both worlds, to use a Joseph Campbell at the end, kind of the master of both rock and being a responsible adult at the end.
mhm.
But he's not really like how much money do you think he's making from his after school club that he runs at the end of
He,
it?
I don't know because it could be something that's a quite like regular. No, no, that I mean I do know of people who teach music full time, have this after school and make an honest living out of it. I don't know what those prices are in America at the time the movie was made, so I can't give you a proper answer. But I think it still steps in the right direction. Maybe that is enough for him to support himself and then pursue other. I don't know. I think it still steps towards being accountable, being responsible, becoming mature. Yes, and it still feels authentic to him. He hasn't become part of the establishment. He's created a little safe spot for himself and people like him to rock out. Like
It's
I see, even like so, I see the children have their own little journeys. First of all, I love the children in the movie. Oftentimes, when we see movies where there is like a lot of adult casts, and then children as well. Oftentimes, a lot of the time and a lot of the detail is given to the adults, and not enough attention is given to the kids. So the kids are often like clones of each other, no real personality. I feel like in this movie we don't get that. So it's quite a cast. So not everyone has enough dialogue to flesh out a full character, but we still get ideas of who these people are, and they're brilliantly talented kids. Like not all of them, okay, but I mean, I couldn't perform the way they did at that age, and a lot of people couldn't. Realistically speaking, they were good actors and brilliant musicians.
Yeah, I'd say they're used sparingly. They all get one thing to do, one trait, one trope. Like Lawrence is kind of a bit shy
Mhm.
and doesn't think he should be in the band, but then
Yeah.
he has a little
Do
pep
you know
talk
that
and
was
he,
a conversation that actually happened in real life?
yeah, I've read IMDb trivia.
Yeah, I read it too, but it was cute that they inserted it in the movie. Because it was a
Um,
highly relatable conversation.
Freddie likes fire and he's ADHD coded. So he plays the drums, takes out his anger on the drums.
Yeah,
That's his story. Summer is kind of like a perfectionist and wants to
no,
be like
so
a class A student. They're all tropes really, aren't they? Like it's
yeah,
like
I get it, but at the same time, first of all, there are a lot of characters, so you can't like flesh them out in their entire like you can't. There's not enough time. But at the same time, we do get nuances which we don't see in other movies. Like you get that conversations here and there where people challenge the teacher, or they challenge certain ideas, or like you see them struggling in identifying who they are. Even at the end, we don't get this like, oh, now we are brilliant kids who've changed. No, we're still the same kids who are still growing up, who are still learning to be themselves. We just get to experience this nice, lovely thing for a bit. It felt like it did justice to the characters of the children, which oftentimes doesn't always take place when it's such a large cast and when the time needs to be divided by adults and kids.
I guess having been watching a lot of Richard Linklater films, it's kind of weird to see him doing these very definite arcs where there's a
Mhm.
conflict and then it's resolved because
Mhm.
usually he'll just kind of tell you like a section of a story and you get the impression things have changed slightly but not like done a
Yeah.
full 180 and here they've everything
No,
kind
it's
of works out Hollywood at the end.
yeah, I think it is a very Hollywood movie. There is an art, and it is a plot-driven movie. So you do see that conflict, the changes that happen, and the resolution. Although it's not the resolution you would expect. It's not, it's hard to understand how Linklater got involved in this. It's one of those or like it doesn't match his earlier choices or his later ones. So from what I've seen, so it's quite a nuanced movie in that sense. It's very different from everything else he's done.
Yeah,
But then I
it's
see a lot of what's his name, White in it, like the writer.
yeah.
Have you seen White Lotus?
I've not seen the White Lotus. No, I've
Yeah,
been meaning
that's
to.
brilliant. I think Mark White is kind of known for taking these quirky characters and really leaning into that fact rather than the story being about the quirky character. It's kind of it still feels real and raw. It's like it's still about the plot. It just so happens to have quirky characters in it. And you see that a lot in White Lotus, but you definitely see this in this one with Jack Black, who is this completely off the walls when you consider what an adult should act and behave like. But he makes you feel like it's still grounded and there's still sense to the story. It's not about his character.
Yeah, I mean, I get the impression that a lot of what Jack Black brings to the role is just authentically who he
Himself.
is, and that's why it
Yeah,
works.
very true.
I
I think
didn't.
even when you consider the music choices, Those
Yeah.
are things very reflective of his personal music style.
And if you watch anything with Tenacious D, it's very much like rock and roll, it's really cool, and that kind of stuff. He's kind of perfect for the role.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you wonder, like, was he perfect for the role, or was the role created for him?
But yeah, I can't imagine anyone else doing this,
Yeah, yeah.
which they did make a TV show of this, which I've not seen a single second of, and I don't
No,
need
no,
to or want
neither.
to.
Yeah.
And they got someone different to play the Jack Black role, and I can't imagine that working really. But
For us, Dewey will always be Jack Black, and then anyone that comes in, it is just have to be a comparison.
yeah, they made
I don't.
45 episodes of that TV show. How crazy is
What?
that?
Yeah, it is crazy.
3 seasons, 45 episodes. And
Was
there's
it
an
any
actual
good?
musical based on this film as well.
Yeah, by Lloyd Webber. Oh. Um,
It's
okay,
crazy.
it is crazy, and you wonder if the quality measures up because the movie was pretty iconic in many different ways. So not sure if you can replicate that kind of success.
Yeah, this definitely does not, because I know there were talks to do a sequel as well,
Mm-hmm.
where they were kind of going cross country, and it's just a perfect kind of one and done kind of film. Like it doesn't need to
Yeah,
be brought back or continued. It's just
yeah.
a very solid story. Everything's wrapped up by the end, cut to credits, and
Yeah,
you're done.
and and also like in general, I'm not a big fan of sequels, remakes, which I think we're relying too much on at the present moment when it comes to movies and TV. So no, School of Rock is brilliant as it is. Just leave it, please. But I think I say this about a lot of movies, which I constantly see that they're being redone. Who knows? Maybe they will.
I was trying to think of other Richard Linklater projects that could
Could
have
be.
a revival TV show.
I
They
mean,
did it.
Dazed and Confused could be.
Yeah, they actually tried that, and everyone went to jail.
Oh, wow. Why?
No,
Like it was taken.
that's not true.
Why do I always believe everything
Why
you
did you
say?
believe that?
Because I always believe you have so much like niche trivia about movies, and like I believe you. Like, of course you would know it, and I wouldn't. So like I believe you anyway. But Dazed and Confused, I could see a remake being done, but it wouldn't be as good as Dazed. No, no, don't do it. I'm
You
just saying,
hated
like.
Dazed and Confused, so
Hate
hey,
is a strong word. Hate is a strong word compared, especially when we the other Linklater movies. But realistically, one of the things that captures Days and Confused was viewing the 70s from the 90s. So I could see the idea of viewing the 70s from the 2020s. So I could see that being redone in a different way and taking different takes on it. But please don't just stop with the remakes. You know what is definitely a remake? Suburbia, which
yeah,
was adapted from a play, and then I'm sure it has been adapted multiple times over from on different theater productions.
I'd watch a sequel to Suburbia.
Where did they all go? Definitely to jail.
They're all, yeah, living in a crack
Yeah.
house,
Oof,
shooting up.
that is jail. Oh, and you don't do you shoot up crack? Isn't it pipe? It's the stop,
Uh,
Marie. Stop with this.
well,
We don't need to engage in this conversation.
okay.
Can we also talk about John Cusack in this movie? She's brilliant.
She's all right. C plus.
No, no, she's brilliant. She's a brilliant actress. I love her. I love her in every project she does. And also, I love her choices. So when you consider this choice, I like it makes so much because she could have been this stuffy principal, right? Who was very conforming to the school and the pressures of the school. But she's much more than that. She still cares about the kids despite the pressured environment. She is welcoming to the new teacher. And then you see the cracks of like the Stephen Nicks fan and that iconic Edge of 17 sequence in the bar. No, I love John Cusack in this movie. She could have easily been played off as the strict, annoying principal, but you empathize with her position every single moment.
All it takes is Jack Black inviting her out for a beer, and she suddenly lets loose.
But I don't think it's suddenly. I think it probably realistically she is the caring person who is creative and enjoys music and all of that. It's just that with him specifically, because we see her caring and being warm towards the kids and all of that. But can you imagine that he's this new teacher who has basically been asking for too much from day one, and you're trying to establish trust?
Hmm.
She's probably not as uptight with every other teacher. She probably does let loose when it's stuff party night or whatever, or when she's hanging out with her friends. It's just with him, she needed to be a bit stricter. But then, yeah, have a beer and we get to see her become more loose. Yeah.
I do
But
like
no,
it's a little thing, but there's a character moment when she's drinking the beer, she kind of cradles it with both hands and
yeah,
like puts it up to her
yeah,
face. I thought that was
yeah,
quite
yeah.
quite a nice little touch.
No, she's brilliant. I love her and all the things she does. She's a brilliant actress. And those choices are, I'm sure, are on purpose. Like her, no, no, I love her anyway. Sorry, it's me crushing over John Cusack.
That's okay. Why do parents hate rock and roll? That's what I want to know.
I don't think they do actually. I think
Well, Zach's dad
these,
definitely does. He's like,
yeah, but I think they're just portrayed to be. Those are the non-fleshed character, fleshed out characters, like the parents. Like we see them as being the strict out of touch parents who want their kids just to succeed academically, but they don't really care about them until the end when they get to see the full potential. It's like, oh. But realistically, most parents love rock, especially like that classic 70s, 80s rock scene. That's probably their age, right? They grew up with that kind of music. So.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of written like the parents in Back to the Future when when Marty goes back and he's like, you don't like this, but your kids will love it. They're kind of like that. That's
Yeah, yeah.
pointless
You
tangent.
know, take your time. Start over again, Bob.
Humphrey, what are you saying?
What are you saying, Jack?
What are you saying, Squire? What are you saying? What are you saying? What are you saying?
What are you saying?
I don't know what he's saying.
What are you saying? What are you saying? What are you saying?
Nigel, what are you saying? I'm saying
I
So
love it.
we got to get it out of the way. Jack Black is a criminal and he should go to jail.
Yeah.
All right. But that I don't have a problem with that because
Okay.
in every film you have to have some kind of thing. The central conceit requires you
Yeah.
to suspend your disbelief a little bit.
And I think it's one of those situations where the end justifies the means. When you see the amount of good that happened because he lied and was selfish about it, but the amount of like good that came out of it, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, like, no one watches a Disney film and says, "Why are all these animals talking?" That's not very realistic. So
Yeah.
the concept of the film is he takes over a class pretending to be someone else and makes a rock band,
Hmm.
and no one in the school hears him, and he gets away with it for like a month.
As a kid, I didn't even question it. As an adult, yes, the idea of like, I'm sure that can't just happen. There are checks and balances that would prevent something like that from happening. At the same time, like it would be horrifying as a parent, knowing that you're like, you've just let any adult teach your kids, like, like no understanding of maths or physics or history or it's just like here is this adult, he's babysitting your kids. But you don't question it. It's part of the premise of the movie. You need it to create the story. And as I said, I think the ends do justify the means.
It's like a cartoon because of course the kids would go home and they'd say, "Oh, we didn't do any work today. We just played in music band all day." And only like five of the kids are actually in the band, and the rest are kind of off
Yeah,
doing vague other
yeah,
things.
vague jobs. Yep.
That one kid who's friends with Freddie just does security. That's his job. And like, what does that mean, really?
Yeah, it's soundproofing, soundproofing.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that they added in the soundproofing to kind of give it like a
Good.
hint towards
Yeah,
being kind of realistic. But if you're gonna start
yeah,
asking those questions, then the whole film falls apart. So
yeah, yeah, very quickly.
I'm happy to just
And
accept that
yeah,
this happened. And
yeah,
when
no
the
questions
when the
asked.
teachers are sitting around having lunch, they're all just talking about teaching and testing the whole time.
Yeah,
Like they're
yeah,
not.
yeah.
Um,
His vague answers somehow satisfy them rather than raise alarms. No, no, if you start to dissect it, it would all fall apart. But that's then you're ruining the magic of the movie. So let's not do that.
Yeah, like, there's a bit at lunch where he does that terrible joke where he's like, "Those who can't do teach, and those who can't teach gym," and all the
Yeah.
teachers go, "Ah!" ha, 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 ha." It's like, no, you've heard that a million times, and it wasn't funny the first time. I'd just slap him, I think. If he's-
Wow, wow. I think you're being a bit defensive.
Jack Black is one of those characters in this film where, he's tolerable for like 90 minutes, but if you had to live with him or
Yeah,
put
yeah.
up with him on a daily basis, you would very quickly become tired of his bullshit, I think.
Yeah, and the second-hand embarrassment. I had too much second-hand and cringy moments. No, you would definitely like roll your eyes too many times. I would refrain from slapping anyone, but maybe that's your preferred choice of dealing. Also, at the same time, like if I had to look at him, he is incredibly selfish, and the motivations why he's lying are purely for his own benefit. But at the same time, he's not detestable at all. He is a sweetheart to all the kids. He's fun. He's teaching them about like self-acceptance and liking yourself and questioning reality and the adults around them. And he's also nice to the other adults, although not all of them deserve. You never see him as the selfish person who's the one doing the wrong thing, although he is the one doing the wrong thing. No, he's very lovable.
But there's definitely enough in there that you could recut a trailer for this film to make it out to be a horror film of like evil man takes over young
Yeah,
children's class to get revenge on the band that wronged him and robs
yeah,
them of an education.
yeah.
Just put some black and white shots and some dark music over it, and it becomes very sinister. But
Yeah, and I think one of the most iconic quotes from this, I mean, like your trailers reminding me, was this quote would fit in so nicely. Because what was his name? The guy the child who does the costumes. And he says, you're techie and I hate you. Like I use that on like so many days. It's one of those quotes I love using all the time. You're techie and I hate you. And yeah, you could use that at the trailer, this dark trailer.
and I think there was a bit of criticism even in 2003 for that because it is kind of a stereotypical portrayal of a gay person.
Yeah, of a flamboyant gay person.
But they're all
Maybe this will get me cancelled, okay?
stereotypes, aren't they? But
Yeah, like first of all, there are many of them are stereotypes, and it definitely is a two-dimensional understanding of being a flamboyant kid, which technically we don't go into his sexuality because why should we? It's just a representation. But and maybe this will get me cancelled, but I know a lot of boys who acted that way when they were kids, and later on they identified as gay. So it is a trope, but I mean sometimes it also fits. Like it is simplistic, but Again, if it was a movie about him, I would expect more, but
Hmm.
it's not.
Yeah, no, I get you. Like these tropes and stereotypes come from somewhere. They don't just manifest themselves. They are
Yeah.
based on reality.
And I mean, some gay men or boys are very flamboyant and some aren't. And that's beside the point because how you choose to behave in the world has very little to do with your sexuality. And that's why I'm saying we shouldn't really even question his sexuality. We're just looking at his behavior.
Yeah, again, it's bringing real world things into a film that's very much kind of cartoonish and like a fun
Yeah.
fantasy
And
kind of
that's
thing.
and that's one of the reasons why it's such a good movie, and you can rewatch it as an adult and still enjoy it. Is because it's presented as this comedic juvenile movie, but it's like it's very real. Like the content, the messaging holds up, and it's quite beautiful when you think about it. It's one of those movies that deals with like harder, more realistic topics in a very nuanced way of like dealing with that feeling of being inadequate or not good enough, of growing and the turbulations of growth and the awkwardness of it, of succeeding and failing, and how all of it is part of the journey, like to becoming an adult. No, it's one of the like you go into it thinking it's a kids movie, but there's so much more to it, which is part of the reason why it's done so well. And it's and even now we look at it from this 2025 now, right, perspective. A lot of it still holds up. A lot of the movies that were made in the early 2000s, the kind of comedy used, the kind of rhetoric used, the kind of characters that are depicted do not hold up. They're not PC like we need them to be now. But this movie does hold up in a lot of those senses.
Yeah, I know it's a classic kids movie, which is maybe why people have been trying to adapt it into musicals and
Hmm.
TV shows all this time. You look at a Jack Black film that came out 3 years later, Nacho Libre, that's just kind of a mess of stereotypes and cliches that doesn't quite work. But this has that
Yeah.
kind of special touch where everything clicks and even though every single conflict in the film is immediately resolved after being
Yeah.
introduced, like they go to the auditions and for some reason the auditions are over when they get there. I don't think they ever really,
Hmm.
like, why did they not just get there on time? Why are they late to the auditions? But you have to have that conflict at that point in the film to follow
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Hollywood formula. So they're like, no,
Hmm.
the auditions are over. And Jack Black's immediately like, oh, they've got a disease. And then they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we don't even have to see
Yeah,
them.
we
They'll
believe
go
you.
in.
Yeah, yeah. But
Summer's like, groupies are just, sluts who have sex with the band. And Jack Black's like,
oh,
no, I just said that in
no.
front of everyone else. You're actually the manager behind the scenes. And she's just me like, yeah, okay. And
Okay.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very zippy. Like everything just kind of
Yeah.
introduce a
Because
problem.
no, that's
Even when
very
he
true.
he gets arrested by the police, he just kind of runs away, and the next time we see him, he's just asleep in their flat. Like he doesn't go
Yeah.
for questioning or.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no real consequences.
And the kids of their
But yeah.
own volition are like they somehow, man, somehow there's a bus driver just sitting around.
Yes, and he's willing to take any kids who just want a ride. There is no questions asked. Yes,
Yeah,
let's pick up with this random man on the way to a random gig because yeah, I'll do that. That
to
won't
this
get me into trouble at all.
band of the bands that's inexplicably like in the middle of the
Of
day
the
on a
day, yes.
weekday, and there are all these people
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
and then all the parents turn up just in time to see their kids play, and
Yes,
it's
and
like,
again, like the do we need a ticket? But we still get in, and we're front seat, like front row, like yeah, yeah, that's for me. But again, I think when you consider the fact it could have gone either we have a kids movie with all of these like problem solution immediately and but not had those like deep messages, or we could have an adult movie with the deep messages without the fun comedic element to it, but this make gives us both, and we just roll with it, and that's why it's what it is, like its own thing.
Yeah, like it falls apart under even the slightest bit of scrutiny, but
Yeah.
that's not the point. Like the
Yeah.
realistic version of this film would be a very boring film, and as it is,
Yeah.
it's a fun comedy. I didn't laugh, but I could appreciate that
I laughed a
there were
lot.
jokes in it.
There were jokes in it which made me laugh.
What were your laughs?
The You're Techie and I Hate You
That's a
again. I've
classic
quoted it
line.
all. Yeah, I've quoted it all my life because it is so funny. But no, there are a lot of good. I mean, I'm not one to remember exact quotes, but no, you laugh a lot. Or also it's like those subtle ways of phrasing things which make them a bit more witty. No, it is a comedy. It's not a drama. Come on.
It's a comedy. I'm just saying that it didn't make me laugh out loud.
Okay, you need more highbrow stuff, I guess.
Yeah, man. Jack Black used to be edgy. He used to be in Mr. Show and Channel 101. Now he's doing these fucking kids movies where he's singing about math. I hate that Americans say math. It's
Yeah,
maths.
yeah.
I think I'd probably laughed the first time I heard that song
Let's see.
because
What do you think about the music in the movie?
I mean, it's classic rock, isn't it? It's mainstream, accessible, big, popular rock music. There's
And
what more do you want to say about it?
no, I think I love the music choices made because they need to contend with original tracks. They need to contend with songs that were created purposely for the movie. And I think it's one of those very few occasions where the songs were created for the movie, but they're actually good songs.
Yeah, I mean, there's only two really, isn't there? Like, there's the one Zach writes that they perform at the end, and then there's the one Jack Black sings about, the rent is due
But
earlier.
realistically, it is a leader that these two songs are more special. You need to have, they do carry more weight than the other. And that's what I think they created a good balance between the music choices picked, which were like songs we already love, we already know, which are not going to make us question. They're not highbrow, right? They fit in. We know them, we like them, and if we don't know them, they're easy to digest so that these two songs are then given the appropriate like time and consideration by the audience. I think they balance each other well. And as I said, there are very few movies where songs are created for the movie and they hold up, especially children's movies.
I mean, every Disney movie ever would disagree with you.
Fair. There are certain movies where it is about the music. It's not like Pocahontas or Aladdin. It's like there is a band in the movie. Let's create a song for the bands to perform, and that's usually like shitty. So this is not the case.
Yeah, I get you. Like the song they write and perform fits in with all the other classic rock. Like it doesn't seem like something
Yeah.
else. It seems like a continuation of what.
You're not disappointed by hearing it. Actually, as a kid, I loved it and I played it on repeat. I'm not saying it's there with Led Zeppelin or Stevie Nicks, okay, but it does blend in. You're not disappointed by the song, and definitely at the end, you're cheering them on. You don't think this is a horrible song.
Sat by yourself watching this, cheering them on, were you?
Yeah, first of all, I wasn't by myself the first time I watched it. I think I was with my sister, but that's beside the point. Even if I was by myself, I do get into movies and I'll cheer them on. Maybe not like physically cheer them on, but mentally, yes, I'm there with you.
I couldn't cheer them on because my friend was asleep, so I just had
Oh,
to silently cheer. First time I
so
saw
you did
this.
cheer. It was just
No, I don't
silent.
think I did. I've never been. It's like such an American thing. You hear about people like clapping in movie theaters
No,
and
no.
wooing.
Uh, Yeah,
I've never done that.
I've experienced it a few times where I was at the cinema and people clapped or cheered. I don't think I participated, but so I don't know. But I've experienced it and it is tacky, usually or cringy.
I didn't even cheer when I don't think you know this. In the new Deadpool, Blade
No,
turns
I've
up,
not seen it.
Wesley Snipes'
Oh,
Blade,
oh, actually, Wesley Snipes.
yeah,
Wow,
and it's like a
you must
complete
have been
surprise. It kind
excited.
of comes out of nowhere. I didn't cheer for that.
Oh,
I did laugh
but
when
you
he.
wanted to admit it. You wanted to.
I did, but I think no one else in the theater really got it. So it would have just been me
Oh, I'm
cheering.
sorry.
Because later on he says he's like holding up a rocket launcher and he goes, there's only one blade. There'll only ever be one blade. And then he shoots it. And I wanted to cheer at that as well. And then and this actually, looking back, I hate it, but in the moment I was like, fuck yeah. He goes, some motherfucker's still trying to ice skate uphill. He says that.
Actually,
Yeah.
oh,
And I
I'm
was,
sorry you couldn't actually cheer, Joe. You should have. I'm sorry you didn't because I'm sure it meant a lot to you.
I laughed out loud at that, and I was the only one in
Yeah,
the theater laughing, and I felt
yeah.
embarrassed. But I was like,
Because
"Fuck
no
you!
one
You
loves
don't
Blade as
understand.
much.
This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
stupid."
it flew over everyone's head. While for you, it's like this is literally my favorite quote of my favorite movie of all time.
Whoa, that's a
Whoa,
bit. That's a
come
bit
on, it's
far.
up. Okay, but it's up there. Come on.
I think, yeah, in terms of rewatchability, I'd rank Blade over School of Rock. I'll put that out there.
You would most movies rank Blade over most movies. So let's be very real. You love Blade, okay? That's not even a question.
I do love Blade.
Anyway, yeah, see? Stop pretending otherwise. Did you know? Because, and this is not off trivia from IMDb. I don't know when I heard it, okay, but it was like I think a few years ago or a few months ago. I'm not sure. The two kids, Frankie, who is the security guard,
Yep.
and the blonde one who was backing vocals.
Yeah, I can't remember her name.
The
Marta,
chill,
maybe?
yeah, maybe. Those two actually got married in real life recently as two adults, okay? That's very sweet.
That is very sweet. You know, it's also very sweet. The actor who played Freddy died in 2021.
That's so sweet. What?
Yeah,
What?
he did.
I'm actually shocked. What?
32 years old motorcycle accident.
Oh, well, that's sad. That's very sad.
That is sad.
Oh, why couldn't you have like stayed with my fun fact for a little longer? Did you mean did I have to bring in one
I
of
had,
them died and
I
it
had,
was the kid,
I
not an
had,
adult, a kid
well,
died.
he was an adult when he died. He wasn't a
Yeah,
kid
but
when he died.
32 is barely an adult, okay? Like we're not talking about a 60-year-old, we're talking about a 30-year-old.
I
I'll
mean,
stick to the fact that Marta and Frankie got married. And
that
they're
is
going to
cute.
have babies, and those babies will be talented, and they will name him Freddie.
Hey,
No, they do whatever they want. I'm building a fantasy in my head. Oh, why did you have to? You always bring me down with the facts.
yeah.
You just be
Sometimes you
happy.
need that, you know?
No, I don't need that all the time. I need to be happy. That's what I need. I don't need to be brought down.
Realistic School of Rock, Jack Black's in jail, and bad things happen to all of them.
No,
Zach is like
realistic school
a
of rock,
mid-level
rock.
accountant in an office job that he hates, working a nine
Yeah,
to five.
Summer would be like one of those politicians that has kept trying to go there, but it is a patriarchal political system. So she's not president of America, and she won't be.
And should probably
The
be
reality is,
crazily right-wing as well.
Vera, it's so true.
Freddie's a drug dealer.
Freddie is a drug dealer, but in a very kind of sad loser way. You know what I mean? Like there's no success to the story. It's like just disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, I think most drug dealers are living pretty sad lives. Okay.
I can't generalize. Um, but it's like he's super aware that he was this middle class, or if you're America, upper class kid who like really made bad choices, and he's now down in Qatar, and the disappointment it reeks of him.
Yeah, kind of like Jesse in Breaking Bad.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm surprised none of the kids really went on to do much more acting. Like for a lot of
Whoa,
them,
no,
this is their only credit. I
not
mean,
really. I get it, but then there's what's her name, the one that does Summer.
yeah, apparently she's Carly in iCarly, but I don't know what that means because I'm an adult man.
You were an adult man that basically iCarly came out when we were teenagers and kids, okay?
I
It
didn't
was a
have Disney
Nickelodeon
Channel. I
show.
didn't have
It was a
Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon show. I haven't seen it, to be fair, or I think I might have caught a few episodes here and there, but I wasn't a follower of iCarly. But she is kind of one of those familiar faces. No, she did go on to do some other things. Was she super successful? No, but she was more successful than the rest. Also, just because your parents put you in a movie when you're 8 or 9 or 10, or however, doesn't mean you want to become an adult actor. So
Yeah, but
probably all of them had different aspirations, and not all of them wanted to continue on the acting journey.
I'm just saying they're good, and I'm surprised that they didn't go on to do other stuff.
Maybe they pursued a musical.
It's
Like
true.
Joseph. Yeah, they were great musicians, some of them.
Yeah, why do some people get to be good at everything?
Do they though? Are you talking about the triple threat here, or like just in general about life?
Just in general, complaining about life, to be honest.
Yeah, no one's good at everything.
Um, we talked a lot
No,
then.
no further discussions. Completely ignored.
We talked a lot about how this movie is an escape from reality, and it's kind of this fantasy fun thing. A couple of times when the movie is icky, and it's all in retrospect, really, is when he first assigns them as being groupies. That is a bit
Yeah,
leaves a
yeah,
bad
it
taste in your
is.
mouth. And then
It
when he
does.
he
Because especially
asks
because they're children.
and he asks what kind of music they're into, and one of the kids says Puff Daddy. That's a bit.
Oof, I mean, again, oof, how would we have known? Maybe they did know, but we didn't. You and I didn't.
But apart from that, it's
No, it
very
holds
easy
up.
to get lost in it, and
Hmm.
I don't think Jack Black could do this role now because he's a bit too old, but he's right at that age where it's like kind of acceptable that he's not really got his life together and he's still
Yeah.
like the cool teacher.
Can I also mention one scene which I think it's partly one of the it's up there for one of the reasons why I love this movie so much, and it's a hard relate to me. Okay, so that scene where he's talking to Tomika, who has
Hmm.
this incredible voice, right? And she's like, I'm shy. I don't want to perform because I'm this fat kid. And he gives her like the sweetest advice of like, no one cares. It doesn't matter. It's like I think at some point he refers to himself as like, I'm sexy and I'm chubby. Like those two things can coexist. And then she says like, why don't you eat less, or why don't you want to diet? And he's like, because I like eating. What's so wrong
Yeah.
with that? And he said, hence her like, it doesn't matter. You show up on stage, you do your best, and people will dig you. And as a kid, mind you, I was that fat kid. Okay, like I don't think I had ever seen that on a screen before. Someone saying it's okay to be fat. There are other qualities that you can bring to the table. And I'm seeing that as an adult much later. I'm glad that scene is still there. It still holds up. There has been a lot of like talks about the body positivity and body acceptance, blah blah blah. But those few like lines were delivered perfectly, and they're still brilliant.
Yeah, he's accepting of all these kids,
Yeah, yeah.
regardless of their flaws. And yeah, I do like that line where he says like, who else has a weight issue? Me, because I
Mhm.
because I like to eat. That's why. Like he just kind of owns it, and it's just
Yeah, and but realistically, I've seen a lot of those things where the fat kid is given advice of how to accept themselves, if that. And oftentimes it's a matter of either changing how you look, and that's how people will like you. So don't accept the fact that you're fat, or that somehow like being fat is okay if you have other qualities. Somehow like if you're funny, or if you're also have a pretty face or if you're intelligent, then your fatness matters less. And it was like 2 or 3 lines in the whole movie, but they were perfectly delivered. I'm like, yes, you can be fat and you can still be all of those things, and one doesn't negate the other. You don't need to change, it's just this. And I know that the whole movie is about self-acceptance and it comes in many different forms, okay? I'm just mentioning the one that I felt like it related to me, and as a kid, I actually like really remember it sinking in. So I can imagine that had a similar effect to a lot of kids. But I'm sure people found other ways that resonated with the movie. It's just this one it felt for me.
Yeah, I guess I relate more to Jack Black as the kind of burnt out stoner slacker character who realizes that his true passion is inspiring children.
Like touching children deeply. That's something he says.
He did say that, yeah, when the police are in the room.
Yeah, yeah,
It's,
like bad
your kids have
timing, but
touched me and I
perfectly.
have touched your kids.
Is that the part you relate to?
Oh, whoa, whoa. I can pass a DBS check, honestly.
I'm joking. Can we discuss like the end? In these kinds of Disney movies, you would expect them to win at the end, right? So there is this competition and you cheer them on. And I kind of love that they didn't win because you barely even notice it. Like, it's not this huge disappointment because I think from the premise of the movie is we're all fallible, we all have our mistakes. Just because you lost this particular thing doesn't make you a loser. And I think there were so many wins throughout the movie, as we were saying, like all those problems that are easily resolved, and but also like wins in the sense of like personal development for the characters. That you don't care that they didn't get a trophy at the end. Yeah, it's another learning process. They still won in many other ways.
Yeah, and you've got that moment where Jack Black's really disheartened because they didn't win and he's quite down. And then the kids cheer him
Hmm.
up and they're like, you taught us it's not
Yeah,
about winning, it's just about
yeah,
like
yeah.
the spirit of it. And they are kind
Hmm.
of the spiritual winners of the Battle of the Bands, mainly
Yeah,
because half the audience is their parents. But anyway,
yeah.
then
Also, one thing I love about this movie, which I think links slightly to the other Linklater movies. So it is about like self-discovery and self-growth, right, for many of the characters. But this movie focuses on a lot on the collaborative aspect of doing that. While other Linklater movies, we get to see like how sometimes we grow in spite of the people around us. Like it's always like some kind of discord. In this one, we get to see people grow purely because of the people around them. Like they do bring each the best out of each other. They challenge each other, and that's how the characters are growing. It's because they see these changes the others are doing, and they want to keep up. It's nice seeing that as well. Like I wouldn't.
yeah, no, I agree with you. He parts his hair different ways when he's being Dewey or when he's pretending to be Mr.
Yeah.
Sneebly. But you know what would have been a better way of showing when he was in teacher mode and when he was in regular citizen mode?
I'm guessing it involves a white hat.
I think it would be a good idea if he wore a light hat.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. Yeah, definitely.
Hmm.
And white hats can be rock and roll, so
It's true. One of them has a slash hat and then at the end doesn't.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought the costumes were kind of baffling on Jack Black. Like that whole kind of like bow tie and scarf
Yeah,
around the neck
yeah.
looks a bit ridiculous. And then at the end he's wearing school uniform, but he's wearing like little boy shorts.
Yeah, yeah. He somehow like went younger than the actual kids.
Yeah, everyone else gets trousers and he's in
I
like
think, yeah,
he's dressed like a kind of 1950s public school boy, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, he went a bit too far into the young end, but it's still again part of his character. You don't question it. I think it just fits. Even his wardrobe as a fake teacher, right? He leans so hard into this academic trope. That is like you immediately know what that it's like him t thinking, oh, this is how a teacher should act and behave without actually having a clue of what like teachers can dress in regular clothing. But anyway, I think it adds to his naivety, and again, we don't question it. It's part of the narrative, I guess. So ready to rate it?
Well, firstly my last complaint, and I do enjoy this film, so I don't
Mm,
know why I'm complaining so much about it. But I don't like this
is that
idea
you?
that substitute teachers are so kind of milk toast and like Mike White's character in this film, where they're just kind of passive people.
Uh-huh.
Takes a lot to be a substitute teacher. It's a very difficult
Mm,
job, requires a lot
yeah.
of resilience, and
Mhm.
I'm fed up with people pretending that it's not. But anyway, that's a personal
No,
bugbear of mine.
I agree with you completely. It takes a special skill set to try to control a classroom when the classroom knows you're there for a short period of time. Yes, substitute teachers should be given more value and more credit. Yeah, I agree.
My other bugbear, and this is probably because kind of hyper focused on alcohol right now, just in the place I'm in my life. But that beer they get served looks lukewarm and
Mm,
pretty horrible.
true,
Chill your
true.
beer. His old band was called Maggot Death. That feels like the first thing you'd come up with when you were trying to think of a fake band name. Like
Okay.
they should
Uh-huh.
have taken another couple of passes at that and come up with something a bit more inventive.
Like,
Like I don't know. I was thinking, like, remember in Parks and Rec, Chris Pratt's character has all these weird band names that he used to go by, like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Scarecrow Rat, Mouse Rat, or something like that.
Mouse rat, yeah, there were a few, but mouse rat was at the default, I can think. Like they always reverted back to mouse rat.
And in that picture, it's Jack Black, Mike White, and the third person in that picture is Richard Linklater, a little director cameo for you there.
Which picture?
He shows a picture of them back in the day when they used to be in a band together, and it's
Ah, I didn't. I never clicked. It never clicked. I should have registered. Now I've seen Linklater's face more than I should want to see his face at this point. So he does like to cameo in his own movies. Linklater. We see him do that a lot.
he was in Slacker and he was in Waking Life. I don't know if he's been in any of the others.
Yeah, but I mean
Is he in Before
that's
Sunrise? I feel like he
no.
might be one of the guys in the bar or something.
I don't think again it didn't click if it was. A lot of directors do it stuff. I don't know. But,
In terms of awards and box office, this did really well.
yeah,
This is probably his
highly reviewed.
biggest success. I think it was a big DVD hit as well as a box office hit. Like I remember
Hmm.
it being a staple of every 11-year-old's DVD collection when I was 11.
Yeah, it was one of those like mainstream successes. So I'm sure he got a new beach house because of School of Rock.
Yeah, he got funding for like 5 weird Waking Life-esque projects that he could do afterwards. I kind of would have expected it to win more awards, like Kids' Choice Awards or something. It,
Who knows what it was competing with in that year?
yeah, I mean, it lost the Golden Globe for Best Actor in Comedy or Musical to Bill Murray in Lost in Translation.
Uh,
I don't think that's a comedy or a musical.
that is
And
definitely not a comedy or a musical, but Lost in Translation is a brilliant movie. You understand why he
yeah, but
lost to
they're
that.
not
Yeah,
comparable
yeah,
in
you
any
shouldn't compare them. Oh,
real way. Maybe if they did do the realistic version of School of Rock, where Jack Black goes to jail at the end of it, and he does some proper
okay.
acting, then it would have won the Golden Globe. As it
I'm
stands,
looking
he's
at what
perfect in the role.
I'm looking at other children's movies that came out that year. There was some questionable choices, but there are some good contenders, like competition. Freaky Friday, Brother Bear, Elf. So I don't know if those are as I definitely prefer School of Rock, but there are other like considering popularity and all of that wasn't the only thing out there.
Cool. So, Thinker, Linker, or Stinker.
I think it's Stinker for me. Stinker.
Stinker?
No, no, no.
It's the Florian Harrington's rating system. They all sound the same.
Yep. Um,
I'm gonna go Funker, which is one I invented for Dazed and Confused,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and I'm reusing here because it's a lot of fun. It doesn't really make me
yeah,
think because I feel like the more you think about this film, the less it kind of holds
yeah,
up, but you're not supposed to really think
yeah.
about it that
Fair.
much.
Except that we had just spent what, an hour and a half thinking about it, rationalizing it. I get it. It is a fun movie. It's meant to be enjoyed for what it is. It doesn't need deep reflection. But it's really not a linker because it's really disjointed. Like it's very different from other Linklater movies. And it's definitely not a stinker. So if I had to stick to the original categories, I would pick Tinker. But yeah, Funker, I agree. Although Funker is a really ugly word. Like,
Funker.
yeah,
Okay.
Funker. It's the opposite of fun. But
And so yeah, that's School of Rock. Next is the second in the Before trilogy. I
Is it? That's the next one.
Yeah, I want to say I always get them confused. Before Sunrise, Before Sunset
Uh,
is the next one,
yes,
and
yes,
then
before sunset.
Before
Or
Midnight is the
midnight
third
is the
one.
last one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
potentially not. They could make another. Anyway.
they could, to be fair, they could. Realistically, I would only want another if we see them returning like in their 80s, not before. So
Geriatric.
maybe, yeah, geriatric love, basically. It's in the next two Ara for me. Should I say anything about it, or should I just let you watch it completely blank, not
Yeah,
give
you
you
can
any
say
of my?
what you think about it because you've
I,
seen
I
it and I
genuinely,
haven't.
I genuinely believe that the first one of the trilogy was the best, but there is something to the added stories or narratives. So that's as far as I will go.
I'm
So,
intrigued.
yeah, it's not as good as the first one, but it holds up, I think.
Okay.
There is something to it. It's not just like, oh, they did the second one to have a second one.
So yeah, next week we will be talking about Before Sunset.
Oh, that's a promise next week.
Yeah, last week we talked about Tape.
Yeah, 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 Maggie, sure, sure.
This week we talked
Time
about
is
School
just
of
a
Rock.
construct.
They all happened in our week, just maybe not consecutive weeks, but
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
there we go.